Welcome to Escape to the Country. Now, this rather curious brick tower behind me was built nearly 100 years ago in anticipation of a proposed UK onshore oil boom. But where do you think this potentially lucrative discovery was going to be made? Well, stick around and I'll tell you. Today I'm helping a pair of university sweethearts who are hoping to trade in their commuter belt home in Hampshire to begin a new chapter amongst the rolling hills of Somerset. We're on the hunt for flexible living space. You could have it as your dining room.
Yeah, so it starts the mind going as to what could go where.
And with a selection of cracking properties, I'm hoping I can find them the perfect setup. It's also interconnected to the greenhouse, actually.
Oh, right. So I can keep my eye on.
You can. Well, today we are in Somerset and the coastal village of Kilve, and this ruinous brick tower is all that remains of what could have been an early 20th century oil boom. In 1916, the shale beds that make up the spectacular rock formations on the nearby beach were found to contain huge amounts of oil. So in 1924, a Scottish doctor by the name of William Forbes Leslie formed the Shaline Company to take advantage of the new discovery. At the time, it was believed that the cliffs behind me contained millions of tons of oil-bearing rocks, and plans were drawn up to quarry 7 miles of the coastline. But not long after Forbes Leslie had built his brick tower up there, he realised the whole thing was going to be so uneconomic, he packed in the entire idea. His failure has meant that this fossil-rich Jurassic coast has now been preserved for future generations and is now recognised as a site of special scientific interest. For me, it's just as well, because this really is one of the jewels in Somerset's crown. The county of Somerset in the West Country sits between the Bristol Channel to its north and the counties of Devon and Dorset. It's an area of dramatic coastline, rich history and stunning countryside. The Mendip Hills in the north of the county are the most southerly limestone upland in Britain, whilst further south, the Quantock hillsides cover over 60 square miles of exposed heathland, oak woods and farmland. In 1956, they were named as England's very first area of outstanding natural beauty. Further south, visitors who take to wandering the flat levels near Boroughbridge may catch sight of Borough Mump, a natural hill topped by the romantic ruins of a medieval church. Rising to a height of 24 metres, those who climb it can enjoy impressive views across the surrounding landscape of the levels. The county also has a rich tradition of food production. As well as the famous cheddar cheese, the mild climate and soil are particularly suited to the apple orchards that have long supplied the local cider industry. With so much on offer, it's no wonder that properties in the county are ever popular with buyers of today. Well, I have to confess, I do love a good statistic, and according to a recent survey, some 86% of people who live in Somerset say they are more than satisfied with life here, which may go some way to explaining the high demand for properties, as do the prices. The cost of your average detached in this county is currently £277,000, a mere £7,000 above the national figure. But of course, in a county as big as this, there are going to be variations, particularly in the north around the bright lights of Bath and Bristol. There you could pay 10% more than you might elsewhere. So time now to meet today's buyers and find out what's motivating their escape to the country. Husband and wife Dave and Polly live in this 6-bedroom house in Linford, Hampshire, on the edge of London's commuter belt. They were brought together 40 years ago by their mutual love of music.
We met in university days, 1975 did we meet? Four. I've been married for 38 years. I'll get kicked
Next
again.
month.
Yes, it was my best friend that introduced us.
Yeah.
And she's got a lot to answer for.
Yeah, we met through university folk clubs. Both of us were involved in folk music at the time as a hobby. After we finished university, we formed a group with 2 other friends of ours, and we Went around the folk clubs in Hertfordshire for a few years.
And North London, and Essex, and Bedfordshire.
Yes.
And anybody else who'd have us.
Dave is a recently retired director of a railway company, and Polly still works part-time as a county cricket scorer for the Somerset Seconds. Now their two grown-up children have finally flown the nest, they feel it's time to move on from their much-loved family home.
One of the reasons to want to move now is that this house is really just too big for two people. Sometimes we think, have we been in that bedroom in the last 3 months? Should we go and check that it's still there? You know?
It's also 1970s modern. It hasn't got any real character behind it. It's lacklustre in some ways. We've put as much of our personality on it as we can possibly do, but there comes a point you can't do any more.
And although they'll no longer need so many bedrooms, a new home will still require enough space to house their hobbies.
I've always enjoyed craft work. Currently, I do a lot of embroidery, but even more lace work.
Polly is the busy one of the two of us. It always has to be doing something.
He's the opposite. He tends to be quieter, likes to have his head in a book. When he's not sitting down, he's encouraged to go into the garden and do some gardening.
As well as a change of property, they've also decided to swap the setting for something more scenic.
We've been in this house for the last 18 years, and during the time we've been here, we've really seen the surroundings change from being the edge of the countryside to being the middle of the commuter belt.
Loads of people around, and yet we don't know anybody around here. It's got no heart, no beating heart to the community.
With Polly currently facing a 120-mile commute for her work with the Somerset Seconds, a move to the West Country seems the obvious choice.
The outdoor spaces are really beautiful, from the levels, but also the rolling hills. It's just a beautiful rolling topography. And also it's a much slower pace of life.
Yes, you've got to exchange your life story with the baker before he'll give you a loaf of bread, whereas here it's, would you please use the automatic checkout, because it's quicker for us.
After so long in one place, it will certainly be a big upheaval. But when it comes to moving house, these two are seasoned pros, if a little out of practice.
From the time we were married until 20 years ago, we had lived in seven different houses.
But then over the last 20 years or so, we've only lived in 2 houses. So no nerves in this move at all.
No.
We're really excited about it. It's an opportunity to be able to start all over again.
Polly needs to be within commuting distance of the city of Bath and the county town of Taunton, her 2 main places of work. And with their hearts set on the varied landscapes and outlook of the Quantocks and the Mendips, we're focusing our search on the surrounding villages and areas that would give them the best of both worlds. So with the location sorted, all I need now is their property wish list. Well, Polly, Dave, welcome to Somerset.
Thank you.
Now, how well do you know Somerset? You obviously work down here, Polly.
Yes, because of my nature of my job, I've got to know the county a little bit.
Now, I know that topography plays an important role in what you're looking for. What do you mean by that?
It's the difference in levels, so that you've got hills as well as right down on the sea level flat.
So you don't want to be in the levels, you want to be in the hills?
In the hills.
In the hills, absolutely.
And give us an idea of style.
Old. It's got to be old.
No, beams and ingle nooks are all
Beams, ingle nooks, low ceilings. Well, any low ceilings are okay for me, but...
Yeah, not so much for you, David.
Yeah. But we need a house we can move into. We can do a bit of decorating, whatever, but we don't want a house that's a big building project.
And what are you looking for in your new home?
Good kitchen, first of all. That, to me, will sell it.
Well, we need 3 bedrooms to use as bedrooms. I just need some study space because I'm still doing a bit of part-time work, and some gardening space.
And how green-fingered are you, David?
I would love to be more green-fingered, and now I've got a bit more time, I can look forward to doing more work in the garden.
Now, aside from your passion for cricket, your craft work is your third love next to David.
Ish, yes. Yes, it is.
Is this something that takes over your living space, David?
It doesn't take over my living space, it takes over Polly's half of the living space.
And just remind us of the budget for this project.
Well, the top limit's around £450,000.
Now, as you'll know, Somerset is not the most expensive county in England, but of course, if you get into the hills, prices do go up.
Yes, we realise that.
Yeah.
We have 3 properties, including our mystery house.
Ooh,
Yep.
yes.
Shall we go?
Let's do that.
Let's have a look and see what we can find you. So for a maximum budget of £450,000, top of Polly and Dave's wish list is a classic character cottage. They're after an old property, but would prefer it to be in perfect condition. They'd like a minimum of 3 bedrooms, a good-sized kitchen as well as a study area and somewhere for Polly's craft work. And a garden is also a must for green-fingered Dave. We've come up with 3 great period properties to show them. They may differ in style and layout, but all offer interesting options for the space Polly and Dave need. I'll be taking them on a tour of each one, although I won't be telling them the price until they've had a guess themselves. The final property will be my mystery house, something they might not be expecting to see, which could require them to think a little outside the box. We're starting our house search on the eastern tip of the Mendip Hills, 4 miles from the coastal resort of Weston-super-Mare in the village of Bleeden. With all the usual amenities, the village also has a number of listed buildings, including the village well and a 14th century church and cross. There's a thriving local community with a monthly village market and numerous activities, including croquet and a bowls club, plus a horticultural society which might appeal to keen gardener Dave. Our first property is at a central village location in front of the parish church.
Here we are.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
This is the first one.
Lovely.
that's really good.
Oh, I like the stonework. It's got character.
Yeah.
It used to be the village post office and shop.
Oh, OK.
Really?
Yeah.
That explains the postbox outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, it closed as a post office in 2002
Right.
and then was renovated up until 2005 to produce a really interesting family home.
Great, this is what I'm liking to hear.
So I'm hoping it's going to have all the space that you're after, David. And it's pretty well connected to Taunton, and it's not in the flat levels.
No.
No, it's not. That you can say for definite, yes.
Should we have a look?
Absolutely.
This character stone cottage dates back to the 1700s, and although it might look fairly modest from the outside, I think they might be surprised by the space offered on the inside. The entrance takes us straight into a large open-plan sitting and dining room.
There. This is a surprise, isn't it?
This is lovely.
That's really nice, yeah.
Really big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
It's
And
not
the-
what you
and the-
expect, is it?
No,
No,
and
no,
the
it's
mixture
not.
of the stone and the plastered walls, that's really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beams.
Beams, yes.
Yeah.
And it's big enough to be able to entertain as well.
Yeah.
Kitchen is through here, as indeed is the rest of the house.
Right.
Oh, good.
There, Polly.
Oh,
yes.
yes. It's got a range. That's what I wanted, really wanted.
Kitchen space is what you can see. We've got the utility room.
Through there.
Yeah.
I know that you want to cook and entertain at the same time, Polly,
Yeah.
but I think with that door open and it all spilling through next door, you've got that nice flow.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Size-wise, it would be okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Just OK.
That wasn't quite the reaction I was looking for, so hopefully they'll be more impressed by the spacious extension.
You see, I think this is the most fantastic addition to the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
so there's your ingle look of a car.
Yes.
Of a sort. I mean, it's brand new, this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Made from reclaimed materials, the timber, the bricks. But what a space.
It is.
Oh, it's lovely. I love the use of wood.
It's green oak. It's all weathering nicely. It's splitting and twisting and
Yeah.
doing what green oak does.
Yeah.
You could have it as your dining room.
It's all doable. It's
Yeah,
movable.
so it starts the mind going as to what could go where.
Could even be my craft room.
I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
Next, I want to take you upstairs.
OK.
Right.
Lead on.
The staircase leads directly off the kitchen area. Upstairs, the bedrooms, all good-sized doubles, are served by a family bathroom as well as an additional shower room. There's also a 4th room currently set up as a study, ideal for Dave.
And this is yours, although to be fair, you could interchange the master really for any one or
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah. But this is really nice, though. Very nice indeed.
My reading of this property is that it can work for you, but am I right?
Well, it gives us a space, but not necessarily in the order we first thought of.
Yeah, this is quite an interesting sort of thought process is beginning to go on.
So, spatially, it's okay.
Yes, yeah.
Spatially good.
Is it going to be okay financially?
That's the question.
Come on.
Heading outside, I'm glad to hear them being so open-minded about the layout of this property. The south-facing walled garden is accessed through the extension at the back of the house.
I do love the way this room ties in the garden.
Well, it flows through. You feel as though you're in the garden in that room.
I can imagine making this like the decorative front garden and the part at the front becoming the vegetable garden.
It's a nice idea because this is very intimate here.
Yes, exactly.
So what's it worth, Polly?
Oh, glory. About 420?
420, yeah, David?
I think I'm up to about 435, maybe, somewhere around there.
Well, it has just been reduced from 485 to 450.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I don't think you're widely off, with your guesses.
No.
No, absolutely.
Go and have an explore, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Okay.
Off you go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
This first property is a great example of what David and Polly can get for their maximum budget. It combines the period charm they wanted with the contemporary convenience of open-plan living. It would be a definite downsize, but the flexible layout and extension offer space that could really work for them. It's got 3 bedrooms, a study and a garden to keep David busy.
It's got the space we need. It's got the character that we've been looking for. I'm not sure we would use it in the way that the present owners are using it. You could actually have the dining table at that end and then make that end into a kind of a snug area and television.
Well, and then
and
have
fire.
the main living area out at the back.
Yeah.
The flexibility of the space is great, but we have got 2 others yet to see, so I want to keep an open mind.
Ah, I was just going to come and find you.
Oh,
All done?
All done, I think.
Yes, it's a lovely house.
I think this is a great start.
Yeah, it is. It's a very encouraging start.
And it's giving me a clear idea of what's going to
It's
work.
giving us a clearer idea.
Right then, fancy some lunch?
Absolutely.
Good plan.
Situated at the foot of the dramatic Quantock Hills is Crowcombe, one of Somerset's 400-plus villages. Dating back to 854, Crowcombe is immersed in history and custom. One such tradition is that of folklore and folk music, and the latter has been a method of entertaining the masses over hundreds of years. Just outside the village is former stately home Halsey Manor, and its purpose nowadays might just appeal to the musician in both David and Polly. We've arranged for them to meet Chief Executive Paul James.
Welcome to Halsey Manor. This is England's only residential folk centre.
So how long has Halsey Manor been a folk centre?
Bill Rutter started this place 50 years ago when he got a group of folk enthusiasts together to buy it.
Yeah.
And then ever since then we've been putting on courses and concerts and dances and all kinds of things.
Yeah, we met through folk music, but our knowledge of the history has a few gaps in it, so maybe you can fill us in.
Well, folk music in a way is the popular music of days gone by. People realised at the end of the 19th century that it was starting to die out. So people such as Cecil Sharp realised that they needed to collect this stuff and write it down. And so there was a big movement at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, to collect all this.
So does Somerset have a role to play in the traditions of folk music?
Yeah, very much so. In fact, it was in Somerset that Cecil Sharp, his first experience of hearing it was in Somerset,
Okay.
when he heard the gardener John England singing a song called The Seeds of Love, and that sparked his entire interest.
Okay.
So if it wasn't for Somerset,
It wouldn't
maybe
be
they
here.
wouldn't have been a folk revival.
So things are written down, are they?
We have a lot of books and recordings of music and dance in our lovely library, and I'll show you now.
The works at Halsey Manor are housed in the Kennedy Grant Library, named after Peter Kennedy and Margaret Grant, 2 passionate collectors of folk material who donated their collections to the Manor Society. With folk lovers continuing to donate to this day, Halsey now boasts the 2nd biggest collection of folk music books and recordings in the UK. Open to the public, it attracts 4,000 visitors a year.
Well, this is an impressive collection. How many papers have you got here?
There are about 10,000 books and recordings, folk music and dance and folklore here. For example, I mean, this is the classic John Playford's English
Playford.
Dancing Master, yes.
Wow.
In 1651, he published a collection of popular tunes and dances. So look, here's a lovely tune, Nonsuch.
Nonsuch, yes.
A long ways dance for 8 people.
Right.
So it's got the music there, it's got all the dance instructions. So lead up, forwards and back, that again, set and turn single, that again. So it's all the instructions for people to learn how to do country dancing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I thought we might have a go at playing this together.
This could be interesting.
Okay.
There are countless theories behind the roots of folk music. Although there's evidence that the songs and dances are written down, it's largely an oral tradition. Country people learnt songs from each other by word of mouth and passed them down generation to generation. Fortunately for Dave and Polly, today they have skilled sitar player Gavin Davenport and a music sheet to guide them. Folk music has existed for hundreds of years, but it's only been termed as such since around 1900. Before then, it was just the popular music of the day. With its roots in rural life, the music migrated to towns during the Industrial Revolution, and today it's enjoyed by all walks of life. Travelling east across the Mendips, our next property is 12 miles southwest of Bath in the village of Chilcompton. Positioned alongside the River Somer and with a number of footpaths running through the village, it's a popular spot with walkers. With the church and a good local pub at its heart, the village hosts a number of events, including a popular yearly fete. Our second offering is a 17th century stone cottage in a quiet, narrow road. With the original grand entrance at the front no longer in use, the main access is from the side of the property.
So what have we got for you here then?
What indeed?
Oh, wow.
This looks interesting.
It's different.
Yeah.
This, believe it or not, dates from about 1650.
Really?
When it was a maltster's cottage. They were brewing
Right.
beer for Downside Abbey.
And monks, of course, need their beer.
Absolutely. And over the last 12 months, it's had a huge amount of work done to really modernise it
Yeah.
and bring it up to spec. The house itself is quite different in that it's arranged over 3 levels.
Okay.
OK,
So it's quite unconventional.
good.
Right. Yeah,
Unconventional we do.
that's
we do,
all
we do
good.
quirky.
Let's have a look at the inside and see if you can fit into it.
I'm hoping this unusual layout might be right up our buyer's street. Technically, the house has 4 bedrooms, although they're split across different floors, with 2 currently used as reception rooms.
So let's get the topography right,
Right.
in our minds. You've got a sort of lower ground floor there,
Right.
which has a media room in it
Okay.
Right.
and a study.
Yeah.
But up here is your main living accommodation. So this is sort of first floor level,
OK.
shall we say. And we've got the kitchen.
Got the range cooker.
Oh, yes.
I know what you're thinking. It's not as big as Property One's kitchen.
Agreed, yes.
Yes.
I can feel the doubt
Yes.
Yes.
filling the air around us. But don't worry.
Cloud, yes.
Well, not it should be a cloud, because I think we can shed some light on it, literally and metaphorically, if we were to remove that wall.
Yeah.
You'll see what I mean when we get to here.
Okay.
Have a look at this. So you've got this huge living space.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's...
Absolutely.
So if that wall were to disappear,
Yeah.
And you were to make all of that into a kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work.
That would work better, wouldn't it?
this would be your main living room.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a case of, obviously, there would be a bit of a project to make it suit us, and then we're down to price and all those things as well, of course, but... that's
What of that
yeah,
view?
That's
That
quite
is
spectacular.
unbelievable. That is a view to die for.
It is, yeah.
It really
That's certainly
is.
got that.
Yeah.
It's not a no, but I need to see the rest of it.
I can see this is now going to be a hard sell. They were so wonderfully open-minded at the last property, but perhaps this topsy-turvy design may have been a step too far.
So the top floor is up these 5 steps, which gives you
Right.
family bath and shower room.
Okay.
Okay.
Really good double in here,
Right.
but a very similar size to this. Now this one we are describing as the master.
Okay.
It's very similar size to what is next door. I guess this one benefits really from the dual aspect and the views.
Yes, it's a good sized room.
So you've got an idea of
Yeah.
the layout and
Yeah.
so forth. I can see that there's an issue over the kitchen,
Yeah, that's...
but there is always, I guess, some
yeah,
compromise.
of course, yes. Yeah.
Whether or not you're going to go for it is another question, Polly.
Okay.
Right, come on. Let's go outside and talk about the price, because that may swing it.
Yes, absolutely.
Outside, the garage has also benefited from a recent conversion. Currently in use as a dog grooming parlour, it might be more valuable to Dave and Polly as a craft room or study. The cottage-style gardens surround the property.
There. More view.
More view.
Oh, it's lovely. You could drink in that view all day.
You could.
Or you could just look at it and have a drink. I mean, that's...
Yeah, well, that's...
That's what the table's there for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah, no, I like that.
those doors have made a vital addition
Yes, do that.
to how this property works. Now, the garden stops here,
Okay.
OK, which is not massive.
No.
But we are assured that the neighbour who owns this field
Yeah.
is thinking about selling some of it off.
That would make it
That
interesting,
could make
wouldn't
it very interesting, yeah.
OK. So what's it worth then? What are the scores on the doors?
Probably 415.
415. Holly?
I'm going to be very rude and say 385.
385, wow. It's on at 435,000.
OK.
Yeah. Which does reflect its close proximity to centres such as Bath and Bristol and the work that's been put into it over the last 12 months.
Yes.
I'm not giving up on it yet, and there are a couple of options you haven't seen yet.
OK. Take a look at those then, shall we?
Go on then.
OK.
Off you go.
Under budget by £15,000, this converted cottage has bags of period charm, as well as a touch of the unconventional that I hoped would appeal to Dave and Polly. It has 3 bedrooms, flexible living space on multiple levels, and the benefit of a converted garage space that would make a great craft room.
Yes, I think this dog grooming pit would have to go, but...
But it would certainly work as a craft room, or maybe this would work as an office and the other one would work as a craft room.
I love the view, absolutely love the view, it's great. The idea that we could buy some of the field perhaps to increase the garden size, that is also a possibility.
The kitchen really isn't what we were looking for. We do want something a bit bigger than that.
I think the kitchen would be a project too far for us. It's a lovely house, but I don't think that we could make it work.
Hey, Polly.
Hi.
How are you doing, David?
I think we're done.
Yes. You probably are.
Absolutely.
But every house does inform the other.
Exactly.
Negatives are positive as well.
I like what you're saying. And we've got one more to come tomorrow, of course.
Absolutely,
Looking
that's
forward to that.
exciting.
Let's hope it is.
Yeah.
Supper time. Come on.
Right.
Husband and wife Dave and Polly are downsizing from their long-term family home in Hampshire in search of a slower pace of life in Somerset. They have a budget of £450,000 and are looking for a place that works for their changing needs. Coming up, it looks like I've finally found the space Polly's looking for.
This would make a wonderful craft room.
You need somewhere to sleep, Polly.
And I witnessed firsthand the destruction caused by the recent flooding of the levels.
It is honestly just like hell.
Well, as we head into our final day of house hunting with Polly and David, one thing has become clear. Although they are downsizing to some extent, they do still want plenty of space. And I think David really is itching to have a garden he can really sink his teeth into while Polly's off enjoying the cricket. So for our final offering, our mystery house, we're going for space and we're going for garden. But it is going to require a little bit of imagination from our buyers to turn it into everything they're hoping it could be. I'm confident it could work, but as ever, the choice is up to them.
Our mystery house is in Winscombe, just over 4 miles from the historic village of Cheddar. There's a range of cafes, restaurants and boutique shops for locals. Nestled in the hills, it's surrounded by lovely countryside and has a number of popular walking paths and cycle routes. The mystery house is located within the Mendip Hills area of outstanding natural beauty and is a mile from the village centre.
This is it, our final roll of the dice, our mystery house. What do you think?
That looks pretty. I love the stone.
Beautiful.
That's great.
And you get that fabulous garden studio.
Whoa.
Gosh, mine's starting to race.
With the living roof, the sedum roof.
Yeah.
And you get the greenhouse, David.
Oh, I could hide in there for hours.
But it's 1867, so it's Victorian.
Yep.
So it's not tiny cottage.
Yes.
Would you have looked at this one if you'd seen it on the internet?
Probably not.
Probably not, no.
But definitely worth looking at now.
Come on then,
Sounds
let's
good.
have a look.
Yes.
Laid out over 3 floors, this rather grand Victorian home isn't quite the character cottage Polly had in mind, but it has lots of potential, plus a more traditional layout.
Well, let's start with the living room. This is a good space.
Oh, it is.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I like these shelves as well.
This is the main living room.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
Okay.
you've got the family room through there,
All right.
Right.
which leads onto the gardens.
Right.
Okay. Music room, perhaps?
It could be.
The
Could be
piano,
exactly that, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about this place, it is the proportions that
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
define it.
Yeah.
You could bring a bit more of the Victorian back into this room.
Yes.
It's got a wood burner in there.
All right.
You could have something that would feel much more traditional,
Yeah.
more open fire,
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah. Very nice indeed.
You've gone a bit quiet.
There's something I can't quantify yet. It's Mine's still working, though.
In a good way?
I hope so.
So do I. Come on. Now, what about this?
Oh, this is lovely.
Isn't it?
Oh, and there's a range. This is a really lovely kitchen.
It is.
One thing I like here is the height of this. This is my height. this I can cope with.
Is it big enough, though?
Yeah, I think it is.
It's not your classic kitchen
No.
diner, but it does lead onto this space, which I think makes it work. This is the family garden room that we talked about.
OK.
Yeah, this is a recent extension, is it?
It is.
No, very interesting.
It also has this, David, which might be of interest for your study, perhaps.
Oh, yes.
Yes, hidden round the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good, it's light because it's got the skylight, even though it's, say, tucked away.
This is his study.
Study, craft room, we can mix and match.
Fight over it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's his.
Good. So how are we doing on living space with our mystery house?
I think it's looking very
It's
good, actually.
looking good, very
Yeah.
good, yes.
Is our mystery house creeping to the top of your preferred list?
It's creeping up.
Very slowly. We'll see.
You see, never give too much away, do you? Right then, let's have a look upstairs. Come on.
Right.
Now, Polly might not be fully on board yet, but there's no denying the space offered by this Victorian property could really work for them. The first floor comprises of a family bathroom as well as the sizable master bedroom, complete with its own dressing room.
So is this going to be big enough for the pair of you two?
Oh, I should think so. It's,
Yes,
a
it's
very
good.
good size room, isn't it?
And it's a lovely aspect as well.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah, and light as well.
This is the joy of Victorian.
Yes.
Some people don't want them, but you can't fault them on space.
No, that's right.
This would make a wonderful craft room.
You need somewhere to sleep, Polly.
It's beautifully light, is what I was thinking.
Yes. Well, I think we should go and have a look at that bespoke garden room with the sedum roof. Come on.
On the top floor are two more good-sized bedrooms. But it's outside where I think the real selling points are, and I'm not talking about the garden.
Now, Polly, I think we are spoiling you with this place.
Oh, this is super. This is really good, yes.
Yeah?
This is definitely my office.
Oh, there you got your bit. Look at this. You've got the skylight.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
There's a really lovely downstairs shower room through there, en suite.
OK.
This could be a master bedroom, actually.
It's another house.
This would work.
You can imagine lace pillows and spinning wheels in here.
It's also interconnected to the greenhouse section.
Oh, right.
So I can keep my eye on it.
You can.
Oh, no.
Right then, let's go outside and think about the money.
Right.
I've got a feeling that if the price is right on this one, it might just be a possibility.
There we are then. Our mystery house and all that it contains.
Yeah.
It's
So-
nice.
Now, the garden really is all about you, David. As you can see, it's nice and mature. And, of course, this lovely greenhouse. I think, David, really, that is an extension of your domain, really.
I think so. I get that bit.
Oh, absolutely, you get that bit.
Sounds good.
Well, what is the price going to sound like, I wonder?
So I'd say probably about 470,000.
470?
Yeah, I think it's got to be somewhere near there. So, yeah, 475.
Here's the good news.
Yep.
It's not 475, and it's not over budget.
Really?
It's £445,000.
So just about on budget.
Yeah, that's very interesting indeed.
Right, mate. We've got a bit of time. Go and explore that greenhouse.
We will do that.
And I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Okay.
Off you go.
Thanks.
Right.
Coming in £5,000 under budget, this unique property may not be the classic cottage Polly had her heart set on, but with 3 good bedrooms, 2 substantial living spaces, as well as the separate annex, it offers an array of options for the study area and, of course, Polly's all-important craft room. Plus, with the added extra of the large greenhouse, Dave would be in his element too.
Oh, this is a good space.
Oh, this is
good
really nice,
size.
isn't it? Yeah.
You can stand up in here.
Yes, it's very nicely done. Lots of hard work gone into it.
Lots of imagination.
Yeah.
This was a complete surprise, and it's given us a completely different idea as to whether we want the space versus the oldie-worldy look.
What we envisaged was a little old stone cottage, maybe a thatched cottage with low beams and an inglenook fireplace, and clearly this is not what this place is. This has been a bit of an eye-opener, really, because it's not at all the kind of house we would have chosen to come and look at.
At the moment, my heart and head are telling me very different things, which is why I'm confused.
Well, I'm very pleased with the way our house tours have ended up.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, but yeah.
Food for thought.
I would say so. Time for tea and cake then. Come on. The area between the Quantock and the Mendip Hills is known as the Somerset Levels, a unique flat landscape that extends to about 170,000 acres. Following the wettest winter on record, in early 2014, the levels experienced widespread flooding. With water covering an estimated 40 square miles, villages were isolated and around 6,500 homes and businesses were flooded. A huge number of families were forced to leave their homes. I'm meeting up with local building surveyor Jeremy Gainsford in Moorland near Boroughbridge to find out how it's affected the county and its property market. What was it like here back in the winter?
Well, it just didn't stop raining. And I think with the geography here, we've got, the ground below sea level, the combination of the tides and the endless rain. The water just inundated the village in a way that it really hadn't done before.
Many people do want to move to the Somerset Levels. Should they be put off from the Levels?
No, I don't think so. I think as long as they take the right advice before they decide to purchase. There are various companies who do sort of flood risk assessments. You send them a location plan, they'll give you this idea of the risk. So you really know what you're taking on.
How has the flooding here affected house prices?
Well, it has, I think, put some people perhaps off buying in the area, but the actual percentage level of price reduction is difficult to evaluate, really, because it depends on the level of risk. So if you can get a mortgage, value is probably much the same as anywhere else. If you can't, then of course it will dramatically reduce the value of the property.
The village of Moorland was one of the worst affected areas. Over 80 houses had to be evacuated, including that of long-time local resident Bryony and her young family.
Hello.
Hi, Jules. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too, but in a way, I'm sorry to see you because the story that's engulfed you and your family and what looks like a beautiful family home is just heartbreaking. How long have you lived here for?
We've been here for 12 years, nearly to the day.
You've put your heart and soul into renovating it once already.
Yep, we've done every single room. We've rewired, we've replumbed.
And now, because of the floods, you've got to do it all again.
Yeah,
Can we have a look at what you're doing here?
absolutely. Come on in.
After 12 years of steadily creating their dream home, Bryony had just finished decorating in time for Christmas 2013. But less than 2 months later, on the 6th of February, the family were evacuated. They were given just 3 hours' notice, with warnings of a metre surge of water heading their way. But it was another 3 days before the water took over the inside of the property. How deep was it in here at its worst?
About 2 feet.
Really? So up to our knees?
Yeah, up to shin height.
And this was your kitchen?
Yeah, and it will be my kitchen.
You're now renovating this once again, but also, I imagine, having the chance to make several improvements to it.
I think making it more flood resilient is,
Come on.
is the words of the moment.
Give me the tour.
This was the formal dining room when we had guests to stay.
And what's this? Because that's the first thing that really catches your eye.
That's my new fancy bubble wrap. No, it's because we're made of something called Bridgewater bricks around here, and they are just a standard brick, but they've got 20 holes in them, and because the house sat in water for 3 weeks, it's absorbed the water, and now the water can't get back out. So we're having this as tanking, which allows the bricks to breathe outwards, so that we can plaster and plasterboard to actually get home. But, the rest of the house has had to be backfilled with concrete because we had joists and floorboards and air bricks. So if we kind of overtop them with the concrete, then that's another flood resilient.
You're being very positive about the scale of what's happened to you and the difficulties it's caused. How hard has it been?
Watching the water come was like being tortured because you just see it coming every day and every day and every day, and you never expect it to have happened. And obviously now we're on the other side of it, insurance battles and builders battles, and, it is honestly just like hell. But we've been here for 12 years and, there's photos of me digging out the floor 7 months pregnant and taking the tiles off the bath, and we want to go back exactly the way we came out. It is home, it will always be home. It doesn't look like home at the moment, but it will be.
Fortunately, Bryony and her family are not alone in their plight to protect their property. In March 2014, work started to dredge a 4-mile stretch of water where the rivers Tone and Parrett meet at Boroughbridge. By the end of the year, the Environment Agency hopes to have removed over 400,000 tonnes of material from the river. The dredging is part of a 20-year flood action plan put in place by the government at a cost of around £100 million to prevent this kind of extreme flooding from happening in the future.
How confident are you about the work that's going on outside in the levels as a whole?
Something had to change policy and change government, how they look at doing the dredging and how it all works. But, you know, going on from that, you've got to be positive. You've got to look at it as a long-term thing, because I want to stay here for the next 20 years. This is my children's home and our home, and we love it.
After renovating their home at a cost of over £200,000 the first time round, Bryony estimates that by the time they move back in, they will have spent the same again in a 9-month period to fix the damage caused by the flooding. But with work currently running to schedule, they hope to be back in their home in another 8 weeks. I sincerely hope they'll never be forced to leave it again.
Now, of course, Polly and David are committing everything to this move, but I suspect there is a difficult debate going on between their heads on the one hand and their hearts on the other. It is a difficult thing to make sense of, but make sense of it they must. Hello, Polly. Hello, David.
Hello.
We have had quite an interesting week, I think.
We have.
It's been incredible, yes. You've certainly shown us that we are going to move down to Somerset. There's no doubt of that at all.
You love the county, David.
We do, yes, yeah.
We started with our lovely double bay-fronted old post office.
Yes, and that one, the house, was pretty much everything we wanted. It had lots of space and lots of flexibility into how we could use the space, but there were some misgivings about things like access and parking and details like that.
Well, this morning I was very anxious about this search as we headed off to our final property, our mystery house. Something that you weren't expecting to see.
Yes, it was. That was quite an eye-opener.
Lots of space and lots of different options about how we could use that space. So, yeah, very interesting indeed, that one.
Are you minded to think that it's worth a second look?
Yeah, we would be back there to have another look and meet the owners and have a chat about that one.
Well, I'm delighted that we have managed to find at least one that will suit you, and we wish you all the best of luck. And, as always, let us know how you get on.
Will do.
Yeah, we will do.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, once again, thankfully, the property market here in Somerset has lived up to all of our expectations. And I'm reminded of that survey we spoke about at the beginning of the show that claimed that some 86% of people who live in this county are more than happy with the life that it offers. So hopefully, if Polly and David can move soon, that number may rise yet further. So all in all, it's turned out rather well. I'll see you next time.
If you would like to escape to the country in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, England, or perhaps even further afield to the continent and would like our help, then please apply online at bbc.co.uk/Be On A Show.